Haiti Biz News Show, Monday to Friday, bringing you news that's going to keep you informed, engaged, and reacting in the most optimal way for your business, investment, and entrepreneurial activity. Today is the 21st of May. Let's talk about it. And before we do, I just want to remind folks we have an awesome video on YouTube. Seejeanty on Moulin-sur-Mer. It was an awesome trip that we did recently, and it shows one of Haiti's premier resorts and hotels. Again, if you haven't seen that video yet, make sure you go to YouTube Seejeanty and check that video out. All right. So we got two news stories today that we just have to talk about. Usually I'm a one for a story, but there's two very big important news pieces we gotta digest and take apart. The first has to do with a very ominous warning from our oil distributors here in the country. Remember, just very recently, we came out of a very nasty fuel crisis just 2 months ago, where BIMPAD, the organization that was handling the fuel reception in the country, was unable to perform that function. Remember that organization, BIMPAD, had taken over the oil distribution first contact responsibilities under President Rene Preval, under the provisions of joining or being part of Petrocaribe, the Venezuelan program. Before then, oil distributors were able to purchase oil, gas, diesel, etc., directly from the market. Part of the Venezuelan program, they had to purchase from the government, who then purchased oil from Petrocaribe under great rates, and were able to take funds that they didn't pay and were supposed to invest in their country for social programs and projects. We all know how that went and how that ultimately ended up, right? So Venezuela doesn't do it anymore, didn't do it anymore, but that still left a very big gap, a very big hole within there was still a demand, right? And so with BIMPAD unable to get the reduced oil from Venezuela, they were forced to get oil from the market, and they couldn't afford it. Long story short, they couldn't afford it. Bills were going unpaid. Oil distributors were themselves being hampered because they had to pay what they owed in U.S. dollars, despite the fact that they were getting payments when they sold their oil in good. And as we know, the good has been depreciating tremendously, right? So all these things put together led to a very nasty fuel crisis, with oil containers sitting outside the Port-au-Prince docks, totally unable to deliver because there was a tremendous amount of money owed. The Haitian government was unable to pay. Ultimately, BIMPAD had moved out of that role and responsibility. Some folks question whether or not they should have been in there in the first place, right? Their charter didn't have them managing such an important function in the first place. And oil distributors were now able to provide or go out to the international market and provide oil themselves. But there's a catch. There's a catch. They still had to sell their diesel and fuel products at the price set by the state, right? It's just didn't matter how much they were having to pay for the goods internationally. They still had to provide the rates, a much cheaper subsidized rate, as much as 20-30% cheaper vis-a-vis what the rates are going in the Caribbean in general, and even next door to the Dominican Republic. And they're from the bill because the state isn't providing the refund for the subsidy that they're providing to the people, right? So the way it's supposed to work is that they provide the gas, the oil, the diesel at the rates the state has demanded, right? And they're supposed to get the difference back, right? The state hasn't provided those funds for the month of April alone. For the month of April alone, we're looking at $20 million owed in total to the 6 distributors. $20 million. Obviously, this is an untenable situation. The oil distributors have called for emergency meeting with the Ministry of Economy and Finance to sit and see how exactly there can be a resolution. And the resolution can only be one of two ways. The state needs to provide the money that's been provided and or remove the subsidy completely. Both are very untenable situations because the state is continually broke, and the other is reducing a subsidy is not going to go well with the people who every component of the Haitian economy and way of life is connected to oil, to gas prices, to diesel prices, in a state where electricity isn't provided 24/7. Folks have to run generators, Delcos, every grocery store, every office complex, they have to run generators. And if the increase of that price means every single person in the economy is going to experience that same rate of increase in every aspect of how they live and do business. From the rich guy to the poor guy, with the poor guy if being affected more because they just have less income. So we're stuck in a rock and a hard place, and it's important that we share this news because it's going to affect every aspect, and I don't see an easy way out. So folks who are doing business in the country, looking to do business in the country, you're going to have to factor another new period of instability, unfortunately, on top of the fact that we have a political event, a political set of elections that are supposed to happen, probably won't happen, but supposed to happen in the coming months in October. It's not looking too good, I can tell you. So just be aware of that, factor that into your business plans, factor that into how you're looking to move. And as much as you can start to stockpile, here's a pro tip, start to stockpile on gas and fuel right now, right? Because things are going to be rough for at least a few weeks and maybe longer, right? That's the analysis. Second news story, we have the legal system is bloqué. The legal system is currently, this week, has been under an increased and continual work stoppage, right? And it's been currently backed by the Professional Association of Magistrates and the Association of Judges of Peace. They've been on strike. They haven't been going to work, and they have a list of demands. The demands start off and end over. They demand owned back pay. They demand improving working conditions, transfer of power from Minister of Justice to the Superior Council of Judiciary per a 2017 agreement, a repair of court buildings, cessation of interference of the executive branch into theirs, constitutional amendment guaranteeing the appointment of judges until retirement, and a 2007 amendment to be reversed that allows for the removability of prosecutors and magistrates, right? And so those are the demands. Their strike is supposed to end this Friday, or at the very least, they will meet up and to decide if they're going to continue or not this Friday. So right now, anything related to the courts, may be registering a business, may be a dispute related to the business, related to civility and criminality. Nothing is currently being processed by the legal system. Yeah, that's happening, right? And so the thing I'd suggest I'd have folks think about currently is that, and something I've expressed when folks have asked me when it comes to dealing with the Haitian legal system, it's far better to ensure that in all your contracts you have clauses for arbitration, and the arbitration courts are not connected to, at least some of them, are not connected to the general Haitian legal system and are funded differently. The arbitration you pay directly. It's a slightly higher cost, but at the very least, you get a skill set of very competent judges and legal administrators who aren't connected to a lot of the stuff that I mentioned. In addition, it's understood that the speed and efficiency of the rulings tend to favor tremendously a proper environment for activity, right? And so again, there's not much one can do when faced with these situations. Not everything can be arbitraged, but certainly wherever you can input in your clauses arbitration to avoid dealing directly with the Haitian legal system. In parentheses, it is highly advised. So that's our show. You already know we're providing Haiti Biz News related to everything that could affect you Monday to Friday. If you like what we're doing here, leave a comment. I like to argue. I like to respond to comments. So go ahead and leave them. You know, I'm going to get to it. If you like what I'm doing, share it to someone else who may appreciate it. Hit that like button, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification. And of course, if you really want to become a supporter, go to our Patreon page at Seejeanty. Provide whatever you can. It goes straight into the production costs of putting this show together. It would be very much appreciated to keep this going strong. So you already know, until we're back at it again, we're back at it.